The Orville New Horizons Review, Episode 6 Twice in a Lifetime.
This one was
That is quite the moral quandary,
all right.
because, like, can you really blame him for integrating himself? Like,
Dude, I would have done it on the first day.
yeah. Well, you would have been hungry and not known how to kill things. You would have gone into town for a pizza.
First of all, I know how to kill things, but I would definitely go to town for a pizza because it's less. Well, I, I mean,
Also, he doesn't know. He is from a time when killing things, even animals, is murder. So, because they have replicators, they can just make what they need.
that's true.
So they haven't killed a living being, like an animal, in centuries, it seems.
It seems to me like that would still be a thing that would go on. Like there would be a niche of people who did that.
Maybe, but again, that's kind of taboo. Like,
Maybe,
in BDSM, like,
maybe they have like synthetic, like robotic foxes that they shoot, like in that episode of Futurama.
maybe.
Yeah,
No, they
or
don't even do that. They have the holonet.
yeah, so those next sentence coming out of my mouth is basically they do have essentially the holosuite, so they
They
could,
probably kill, do hunting there.
yeah, nothing gets hurt.
Exactly. So imagine the basically vegetarian or a vegan who has to kill to survive. Imagine the mental trauma to that.
No, I'm just imagining. I am a vegan. I will survive. Ooh, mushrooms. 2 hours later. Bleh.
Yeah, why didn't he try to live off of the, plant life?
Because maybe back in the, back, I guess, Ford in his time, they did realize that yes, they could, synthetically make things with like the replicator. I'm guessing even like hamburgers and stuff. They still realized that the human body needs a full diet.
Well, yeah, obviously they knew how to, but the concept of eating plants and stuff, eat, why couldn't he look for, or is he just
Well,
Well,
so
yeah, what I'm
it's
saying is he could.
probably one of a couple things. If he didn't have a scanner with him, he couldn't tell what plants were good to eat. And animals, especially mammals, as long as you cook them, or like a deer or something, or a rabbit, as long as it's like I know that's safe, and it's like I know this kind of animal is safe to eat, so I'm gonna, and also meat is a lot more energy dense. You have fat and protein and all this stuff, and you can also smoke that if you know how to do that, and preserve the meat, salt and smoke it and preserve the meat for a long time.
he doesn't know how to do that?
Well, I don't know.
Tries to how to cook it, honestly.
Probably just used this little ray gun thing. Went.
Well, I imagine he's also, I don't know how many shots those pistols carry with them. Like,
Yeah.
he's got to be careful and judicious with how he uses his weapon.
Yeah.
Like, if he's using it to kill a deer, okay, that's a useful thing because that's a big enough animal, and you know he can smoke that and salt and smoke and jerky that into a long lasting food source, and a lot of it if he just takes one deer. But you know But yeah, he has to be judicious with that. Otherwise, he's gonna have to go find, somebody with a rifle and ammunition and somehow get that, somehow steal that and get in there and, you know, and hunt with the local equivalent.
Which is probably why after so long he ended up having to go into town anyways to find food.
At least, yeah, or at least or he was looking at it and he's like, his
It's like
his
fuck.
pistol
I
might have
want to
been
fuck
out of
something.
ammo or had one bullet left, and he was holding on to that just in case.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I only got one shot left in this thing. I better hold on to it in case I come across a grizzly or something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I just like thought of something. So they're making a big deal. He's saying you can't change the timeline, right? And all this stuff. Well, what if he kills a bunny whose descendant in like the far future was gonna be killed itself and eaten by an evil dictator that would have choked on it?
Right?
See, it's see the thing is it's pretty much impossible to not
To
change
not
anything.
change things.
yeah.
Also, with the thing, what if that biker that they took the
Oh.
keys from was going to be on the road and save somebody or from a car crash or cause a car crash that
uh,
kills a
Yeah.
future dictator?
oh man. Uh, I okay. What Here was a thought. Okay, he was uh he was in, well, it would have been before that, but I was thinking like, what if he had some he wasn't getting sick from it, but he was carrying like an alien disease, and
Yeah.
and
He
like
started COVID.
that was my next thought, but I don't think the timeline quite works out.
No, it doesn't because he was there at 15
Yeah,
and 19 was when COVID started. Also, COVID started in
China. Yeah,
China,
yeah,
whereas
and or yeah, it was
he
yeah, his first
never was
tick.
there.
Yeah, well, he might at by 19 he might have become a pilot and
Well,
flown
yeah,
there. But then again, if he was a pilot, if he was carrying it, he would have probably spread it already.
yeah, exactly.
Also, I'm wondering something. How did he become a pilot so fast? Yes, I know in Orville, he's a professional pilot, everything, but you still have to get like years of like training to like prove he is can fly there.
Well, he probably took the tests and stuff and established that he could. And don't forget, this was 10 years down the line. So,
True, but they had been like, so, what school did you go to? Who taught you? And et cetera, et cetera. This and that. It's like,
in
Canada.
that aspect, also, what about his entire backstory?
Yeah, well,
Because
see, yeah,
keep in mind, he has no social security, he has no identity.
Yeah, pretty
The
much.
fiction he just appeared out of nowhere. And
yeah,
unlike Vanderspiegel, he can't just take over somebody else's life.
I think on his thing, I was trying to read it, but I was too lazy to pause it. It says, not much is known about so and so.
yeah,
Yeah.
about him before that. I suspect that he might have had some. He might have had a scanner or something on him. Like he had a scanner and a pistol on him. Like it was just something he carries around. You carry around
Well,
as
yeah,
a
you carry it as a
communicator, and
it's what he had on him. He had the scanner in order to just, it's what they carry. It's kind of
Yeah.
like carrying your cell phone, you know?
Yeah. So if he had that, and
Maybe
like,
he could have acted in the
yeah,
system and
that's my
put
thought
that.
is he like it would be like, you know, like somebody from today going back and hacking, you know, a punch card system. Like if you think about like the amount of of improvement in computing technology since, you know, the 60s to now, okay?
Damn.
Now extrapolate that a few centuries ahead, okay? And that, you know, what we have in our phones, like he's got, you know, it our phones would be toys to him. And
Yeah.
so like something you would give a child because it's nothing, you know. And so that thing probably has like the combined processing power of every computer on earth mashed into one, you know, one device. And so if he decided, you know what, I want to
Well,
set myself up, he just hacks in, puts, you know, backdoors himself into the system, slides in some credentials, you know, puts himself into, you know, classes that if he needs if I don't know what all the, you know, all the classes he would need and whatnot, but like whatever he needs, he just goes and puts it in the back door. And he can also, you know, if he wants to, he can slowly, you know, if he's already hacking, he can go ahead and just hack into a bank and just give himself money or something if he needs it. Um,
I mean, how else would he have bought her a drink? Like, before he established himself, before he had a job or anything,
I
how
robbed
would
a
he have
bank.
bought her a drink?
Just robs a bank.
More like robs an ATM.
yeah. He pulls a doctor and just like.
Exactly.
And it,
Only instead of Sonic, it's a scanner.
yeah, it
So
just
I
has
have
it.
So I just have to say which I'm guessing he is the actual voice actor for Isaac. Did
I would assume.
did
I would
so
assume
well.
costume off.
Did so well acting like a robot, acting like a human.
He did.
Like
He was just like, but keep in mind, that was probably the actor who played Isaac. So that's
wow.
basically just they took off the costume and had him wear
Well,
street clothes.
it wasn't just like the body movement; it was the facial expressions too.
Well, yeah, but keep in mind when you're voice acting, you do tend to gesticulate. You do tend to act because with those um micro characteristics, micro expressions. Like when you're trying to act happy, you tend to smile. Or when you're being grumpy, you tend to put your face in that mode in order to express that.
That's true.
So under his mask, he's probably doing the same kind of micro expressions as he's acting in order to convey those vocal micro expressions. So he's probably been doing that the whole time. We just don't see it.
It's like
So when he's doing it without the mask, it just makes more of that much more of a like show. Plus, we did see him a couple seasons ago when they went on that date.
true.
Because remember, he and Finn did the deed when he was human
He's atomically correct.
Apparently. Either that or he's just very skilled with his mouth.
I have to admit, though. Oh no, I'm losing.
Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
losing.
At least this time he didn't break anybody's arm.
True. Although while I was watching that, my mind went to I beat my wife at arm
Oh
wrestling.
God, no.
Arm wrestling. He means at arm wrestling.
Although, damn, I was gonna say something. Oh fuck, it'll come back to me.
That lady gave them a long time to themselves down there.
She did.
Yeah.
Like, what? You would think she'd be coming down there and checking on them. Being like, hey, do you need anything? You want to come see the master bedroom? Like, they just didn't show that she showed them the whole house, or they were very insistent to go into the basement. And then they didn't want to go look at the rest of the house, and she wasn't like, oh, do you want to come look at the rest of the house now? Like,
I think they did see everything, and then the basement was the last thing she was showing them. It was like, can we have them some time to talk about it down here alone? It's like, and she's like, okay, this might be a sale.
I mean,
If they want to sit in the basement, like, what are they going to do? So I'll let them, I'll see if I have the paperwork ready and whatnot, and so if they want to make an offer, I could just fill in the names and the all that.
maybe I've just watched too much true crime stuff, but that just seems so sus to me.
And now it's like, what's your favorite music? What kind of food do you like?
Yeah.
What's your Wi-Fi password?
I love the fact that he wasn't just doing it to her, because then it just seems like creepy pickup lines. He did it to that other guy too, and it's just like she just looks so confused at him. Like, what is wrong with you?
Although now I just gave myself a question. Do you think Isaac has built-in Wi-Fi?
I doubt it.
Password is Isaac. I'm sorry, the username Isaac. Password destroy all humans. I meant to change that.
I doubt it.
Sorry, that's default. I really should have seen that coming. That's the default password is kill all humans. It's like, I really should have seen the whole Kalon turning on everybody else. I should have really just seen that coming when that was my default password.
Honestly, so originally I thought this episode going the way of, so Kalon's about to destroy the ship, right? But Malloy travels back in time, like, right, a couple hours before, again and again, trying to figure out a way how to stop them, from destroying the ship. But apparently it went a whole different way. He went back a lot further.
Yeah. It did have a few good some good jokes, which did a nice job of making it not too heavy of an episode, because the overall thing was the main story with Malloy and his family, and the fact that he has a life now that they are trying to rip away from him.
Which is...
And, like, my question is, why couldn't they take his wife and kids?
That's true, because you'd think...
If that is considered contamination, because his seed should not have been planted there, you would think that they would at least take the kids because they don't want that contamination to alter the future. And therefore they would end up taking the wife too because she has the kid inside her.
You would think that, but I don't know.
But and you would think from a logical perspective that they would have to go with. Although I understand, oh, we just made it so it never happened. But at the same time, they shouldn't have left the family behind to begin with.
Now he's gonna be like in a different timeline and come back like as an.
No, that creates a whole new timeline because like they said at the beginning, yes, time is still in flux and all, but by going back due to what he said, that means that his statement caused them to go back, which if they went back, they couldn't have had that statement to cause him to go back.
Yeah.
Which breaks the loop, which means that creates a new timeline. So instead of a new timeline being created due to a sandwich, it's a new timeline created due to a family, which means at least the family still exists in some timeline.
Yeah.
And we don't know what that future timeline looks like. Maybe the union does exist.
The mirror union.
What?
The
mirror union.
Yeah, it would be a mirror union verse.
The same as the regular union universe, but everybody grows goatees, and is a bit more aggressive.
No, because don't forget, this is Gordon. So everybody is a lot sillier, and instead of being worse and more evil, this union verse is like all a bunch of Han Solos, like all the flyboys all the time.
I do have to applaud them on something though. I am glad they did not hide what they did. They're just like, yeah, we had to go back in time so your family was never born.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. And I appreciate that they did it after the crisis was averted and after they got home.
Yeah.
Because, if they did that while he was still there, he might have been partly, wait a sec, I had a family, I could have that still. Although, based on his reaction, because he was taken away from that before he got emotionally involved, he was able to objectively say, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Because the reason why he was the way he was is because of his emotions got the better of him. So by taking him out before he got attached, there was a reason to get attached. And by waiting to tell him, they, and they did it over drinks, they made it, calm. And because he didn't change anything and they got him before that, it allowed them to not have to write that report about him because it never happened. But also, one thing I appreciate is that they actually explain or attempt to explain, they techno-babble sci-fi it, why time doesn't work the same way when they're traveling so close to the speed of light. Because in Star Trek, like, they create the warp field and they're traveling near speed of light and they're idea of traveling of space travel is they're folding space so that the distance is shorter as opposed to actually traveling that fast. Here, they are not warping space, they are actually going close to the speed of light, but they create a quantum bubble, which allows them to avoid the time dilation issue. But by turning off that quantum bubble, they allow the time dilation issue, which is what happens when you go really, really fast. Time slows down for you. So the closer to the speed of light you get, the slower time is for you, whereas everything around you is going fast, which is why things that are stuck in the event horizon of a black hole are actually going really, really fast, but they seem to be slowed down inside, so you can live an entire lifetime in the event horizon, but really it's only been a few minutes outside of that. Which is kind of the point of the series Andromeda, if I remember correctly, starring Kevin Sorbo. But anyways, that was good. I haven't seen that in forever. The 90s when everything was awesome, at least TV shows. But yeah, I appreciate that they actually brought that bit of science into it and like dealt with it. A lot of sci-fi doesn't deal with it. Also, I'm a huge nerd, so
uh,
I did spend I have spent like most of yesterday watching science documentaries and archaeology documentaries, so I'm a nerd.
I did love. Oh, she's on. Look at the house. We're getting a divorce.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure she had that planned since the moment it's like, oh, you're such a happy couple. She's like, oh, yeah, totally a happy couple. God, I hate those. Because it's kind of like you're stuck playing, you're stuck partnering up with someone you hate. Like that annoying coworker that you can't stand and who always just rubs you the wrong way, but you're stuck working with them on a project and you're just like, I can't wait for this to be over.
Please be over.
So as soon as it was over, she's like, we're done. I bet that was a relief. I mean, when it's like, so is this your boyfriend? Oh, hell no. I mean, he's my brother. Which, I mean, visually, I could see it. Like, aesthetically, they could either be a couple or siblings, which is weird unless you're in the South, but.
Bless you. So, I just realized something. I don't think she ever paid for her drink.
She didn't.
She's a thief.
No, she's not a thief. I mean, she stunned them all with that moment of she had 2 drinks. But she stunned them all with that Isaac beating the big guy to the point where it's like, and you're gonna pay for my drinks, right? Cool. Bye.
Dan, they should have brought the it's been a while since I've heard her name. The really strong lady.
Oh, they did.
No, they should have brought her to the bar and
Oh, yeah,
like,
but no, the arm wrestling was just an impromptu thing.
I know, but it would have been funny seeing him being beaten by a girl.
It would have been.
Everybody's like,
Although being beaten by a nerd.
that's true.
I mean, because this guy looks like a freaking whitewashed Carlton from Fresh Prince. Like, he is that completely. What do you call them? Yuppies?
Think
That's
so.
what he looks like. And the way he talks, which we understand is because he's actually an android, but the way he talks just is so yuppie. I love that. Damn, your sister's got a big pair of balls on her. Negative. Her anatomy. No, shut up.
Like, silence.
Because she knew exactly what he was going to say about that. Like, that's not what they mean by having big balls. Do they not mean testicles? Well, yes, but it's figurative. Shut up.
And hey, I mean, at least they were honest and did let them leave with the motorcycles.
True. Although I think they were so shocked and stunned that they wouldn't have put up a fight anyways. But also, bikers are not the douchebags people portray them as.
Most aren't. Some are, but most aren't.
Well, I mean, just like some yuppies are complete douchebags too. Not all, but some.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you can't use broad strokes to address everybody. Like, most bikers are actually pretty decent people. They're douchebags for riding loud motorcycles, but that's just my personal opinion as somebody who is very sensitive to sounds and sharp noises like that. I can't stand motorcycles because of the noise. That's my thing, not theirs. Doesn't mean I can't shout that they're douchebags for riding them in the middle of the day while I'm trying to sleep.
Like, you bastard.
I'm trying to sleep, you asshole. Don't know why I went Scottish there. Also, I mean, Isaac is kind of pretty as a human.
Is.
I can see why Finn hooked up with them. They do make a pretty couple, aside from the fact that she can't stand him. Although that was kind of cute, that whole, I never said thank you for saving my life. She's like, wait, that's why you're being freaky? Because you want to say thank you? Yes, thank you. I'm surprised she didn't use the old, well, you're not welcome.
It's like, oh, fuck you. I was doing my job.
Exactly. It's like, I was doing it. I did it because I had to, not because I wanted to. I still can't stand you. You're a douchebag who killed my girlfriend, or would be girlfriend. And I mean, I can understand her perspective on that. Like, sure, it's still racist as fuck, but at the same time, I'm sure that Jews back who survived the Holocaust were still wary of Germans. Like, it's understandable. She went through hell because of his people, because of his. You can't really call them a species because they're not organic, but his kind killed the person she loved. So you can see where she's coming from and why she hates him.
Honestly, I kind of thought Isaac was going to send her back in time.
Send her back in time?
Yeah,
to save her girlfriend.
yeah.
Do that. That is a fixed point, as the doctor would say.
Well, time is wibbly, wobbly, wobbly, wibbly, wobbly, wibbly.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Yes.
It is not a linear procession. It is more of a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff. True and false. You see, there are still certain points that are fixed, and they are fixed because of your connection to them. Just like in the time machine, you can't go back in time and change something that caused you to create the time machine in the first place. He couldn't go back and save his girlfriend because she is the reason he created the time machine. And therefore, if he went back in time and saved her, he wouldn't have had the inspiration to make the time machine. Therefore, he couldn't go back and save her, which means she dies anyways.
Well, okay, I get that, and that makes total sense.
So therefore, he could not send her back to save her girlfriend, because by doing so, she would not have the reason to hate him to make him send her back in time to save her girlfriend. Therefore, her girlfriend still dies.
I was just kidding there.
That is the paradox of time travel. Like, that is why so many people hate it and why I love it.
Yeah. Hey, so what do you think is, if we ever like actually invent time travel and everything, right? What do you think the term they're gonna call it when you go back in time and like stop somebody from being born, like temporal murder? Because that just sounds kind of boring.
No, it would be.
It would. If time travel is even possible, you'd have to think about it as, okay, you get a paradox if you do it within your own timeline, but if you do a split timeline where when you go back and do something, you split the timeline off into a different branch and you go back along that branch. If you do that, then the original branch would never know you did that. You would just disappear one day and then you'd be in another timeline.
And if you think about it based on the multiverse theory, every time something happens, every moment creates a new universe. Like, say, in one universe, you didn't get your job at the factory. You were working somewhere else instead. Therefore, you can't do the stream because of your hours. Or another universe, like, every time, even the smallest change, that's the whole point of the episode Turn Left in Doctor Who. Every moment is its own universe. And that is why there's an infinite number of universes being created at every instant, because every decision, do I wear the red shirt or the blue shirt? Do I go to school for this, or do I go to school for that? Do I even go to school? Do I get this job or that job? Every tiny piece of minutia changes the universe. Therefore, there are so many universes that are so similar, because in the grand scheme of things, most choices are
Inconsequential.
Thank you. Inconsequential.
While you were doing that, all I could think of was that speech from Picard. Do I take this person, this woman, or this woman to the dance? Off. The future is about making choices.
Yeah. And, like, to you, what, it may not affect you, but maybe it affects somebody else. And therefore, to them, their universe will be different. But to you, your universe isn't different. And if you jumped, that's why the series Sliders was so, on the one hand, the premise was great, but on the other hand, even if they did get back to their own universe, they might not even recognize it, that it's their own universe, because it could be just like a different universe that happened to be one tiny indistinguishable decision that changes life for somebody on the other side of the globe.
Or a
But
lizard
to them,
ate the fly on the left instead of the fly on the right.
not
that-
even that. It could be some kid in another country changed their universe, the universe for them. But at the same time, that means, while it is a different universe, it's the same universe to you. There are billions of universes that are almost identical. But due to slight changes, it's identical to me, it's identical to you, but to some kid in California, the universe is completely different, because it's their universe, their life is completely different. To you and me, nothing has changed. To them, if sliding between those universes is a drastic change, because maybe they moved as a kid, or maybe they chose different friends, maybe they chose different jobs. That, to them, sliding between the universes would be huge difference. To us, it wouldn't be anything. So every little choice changes the universe. And therefore, there is still a universe where that family, including Malloy, are happy, are, living their best life.
Good for them.
Yes, good for them.
Any other things to speak of with this one?
Let me think.
I bet he's gonna really enjoy that sandwich.
I know. No, I'm just imagining like a few episodes in the future, sound just appears out of nowhere. It's like, where does it go? Oh, yeah.
although there is one more thing about time travel that nobody really thinks of.
Mm.
Space. Time and space are intrinsically linked. And the universe is constantly moving. Our sun is not just stationary in space, and neither are we. So, even though it takes 365 days to go around the sun, and so we go back 1 year, we are still not going back exactly 1 year in space, because our Earth, our sun has moved, therefore the Earth has moved in space. Therefore, if we go back 1 year in space without 1 year in time, without taking into account spatial movement, we would be ending up in the middle of space. The universe is expanding.
In all the
Therefore,
directions it can whiz.
exactly. Therefore, going back in time, those 10 years, those 400 years, Earth would not be in the same place.
That is true.
So those coordinates would be really complex to calculate. And spaceship time travel, a little better, because if you end up miscalculating, you're in space. You're cool. So like the TARDIS miscalculating, he ends up in space. It's cool. But if you're time traveling via a vortex manipulator or a time machine that's just like in or H.G. Wells's book, you're going to end up not on Earth, maybe inside of Earth, maybe in middle of space, maybe on another planet.
Yeah.
Depending.
The key component of any usable time machine is going to be a trajectory plotter
Exactly.
that can
Within
move you
space.
to keep you at the same position relative to the Earth, and you know that way when you move in time, it also knows where that would need to be in space.
Yeah. Which is why teleports, like transporter type things, are way more complicated than you'd think. Because, yes, traveling from point A to point B in the blink of an eye is cool. But guess what? The Earth is moving really, really fast, and even faster through space, rather in relative to its rotation. Therefore, if you teleport, even if it's only a few seconds, you'll still end up not where you're aiming unless you take into account the movement of the Earth as well as the placement in space. God, I love physics.
Anyway, I think we've we've basically knocked
Yeah.
this thing around as hard as it can be, and we're over time as it is. So I think
I love physics.
what?
I love physics.
Okay.
Physics are fun.
Anyway, uh, if there's no objections, we'll call it there, and I can start working on editing the first episode of this stream.
I have to know, was there even enough for Discorded?
I think there was, but
Damn.
anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, stopping stream
Yeah,
in
well,
3.
when you start talking about temporal mechanics, that's when I get a
I
little.
hate temporal mechanics.
I love temporal mechanics.
Nice.
Quoting
Bye
a
bye,
great
stream
engineer,
people.
I hate temporal mechanics.